Alright, here we are for Biological Compounds Lab in Unit 2, 2.08. They have it broken up into two labs just because it was kind of a long and tedious one. You don't actually have to go to 2.09 to complete this. You can do it all through the 2.08. Okay, lesson resources. If you were to open up here, you would end up with some instructions for the lab, which are handy to have. And this is kind of what they look like. We'll look at those some more later. And the actual lab report as well. All I did was pull up the table, so I can give you an idea of like how to fill this out. All right. But right now, we'll go to the actual lab itself. Okay. Again, tutorial, very handy, but let's just move on. So here we are going to be testing for we're going to be using indicators rather to test for certain compounds, whether there's proteins or lipids or carbohydrates around in certain substances. So first thing that we are asked to do after the tutorial is test for starch. It says when starch is present, iodine solution will turn dark blue. What each of these here does is step 1, it tells you basically what you're going to be doing, and then 2, 3, and 4, it tells you exactly what step to do. It suggests that you could follow a different procedure, but in order to do this correctly and completely, use steps 2, 3, and 4 for phase 1, for phase 2, for phase 3. I'm going to do phase 1 with you, then jump down to phase 5 and do that one as well, filling out the chart as we go, and then you fill in the rest, okay? All right, here we go. First thing, number 2, place a pipette full of water into the test tube labeled starch control water. All right, so we got to move over here a little bit. We're going to grab a pipette. This pipette is the one that we're going to use for water each and every time. So again, a quick click. We're going to come up here, bring some of the water in with a quick click, and we're going to bring it over to starch control water. Okay. Then we're going to set this down here for a moment and go back to our instructions. Place an eyedropper full of starch into the test tube labeled test for starch. So eyedropper full of starch. Well, where are these eyedroppers? This is actually the eyedropper, essentially the lid, okay? So we've got some of that in here. We're going to put it into the test tube for starch, test starch right there, okay? And put that back into the starch container. Again, back to test for starch. So, how are we supposed to be testing for starch? Well, it tells you here, in iodine, in number 1, when starch is present, an iodine solution will turn dark blue. So, number 1 is telling you which is the indicator. So, we're going to go right over to the iodine. We're going to test for starch in both of these test tubes. And okay, we need some more iodine. Get some in there. Oh, well, and if we recall, it does say an iodine solution will turn dark blue when there is starch present. So let me put this little thing back over here. Okay, and coming over here, looking at both of these, we definitely have an indicator. We definitely have starch present in the test tube that had the starch in that. Imagine that. So just giving you an idea of how these indicators work and how you can be sure that there is something in a solution. And next we will go to the chart. So phase 1 iodine. For water, what you will type here is it's not showing up for some reason, but I would type in there no color change or no reaction, either one, okay, for the water. I'm missing the starch. I think this was it. Okay. And so then here I would type in color change, and for some reason it's not letting me do it. Okay. I would type in color change or turned purple. All right. So water, no color change here. And here, color change. Okay. All right. Next one. You would test for protein. Follow the steps again. It says albumin is present. A mixture of sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate will turn black. So you'll come over here. You're going to find the protein control. So all you're going to do is put water in here. Then the test for protein, you're going to come over and find the albumin, which is right here. You'll add some albumin to the test for protein here. You have to combine a little sodium hydroxide and some copper sulfate. So you'll put a little bit of both in here and then a little bit of both again in here to test for protein. All right? Okay. So basically you're going to follow the directions from this point on. Phase 2, protein. Phase 3, lipids. Phase 4, you're testing for an unknown. Okay, so basically we don't know what this is right here. We're not sure what it is, but we're going to test for it. You are going to test for, you're going to put some of the unknown in here, some of the unknown in here, and some of the unknown in here. And what you'll do then is you're going to test, for each starch, protein, and lipid. All right? So to test for starch, what do we use? We use iodine, correct? All right. And for testing for protein, we use a little bit of sodium hydroxide and a little bit of the copper sulfate. You have to use both of these. All right, put that one back. All right, and there's no change for this one. Copper sulfate is blue, so there's no change here. Lipids, you're going to use the Sudan number 3 to test. I just gave you one example here. And lastly, you're going to be testing the milk. You're going to put a little milk in here, some milk in here, and some milk in here. And you're going to test for starch by using iodine. You're going to test for protein using the sodium hydroxide and copper sulfate. And then you'll also test for lipids in milk using the Sudan number 3. All right, and so that is how you're going to be filling these out. Okay, please don't hesitate. Send me a K-mail if you have any questions, and I can help you go from there. All right, go get her done.